One of the most prominent issues in bilingual education across New York State is the lack of native language assessments for local and state testing. Many school districts, especially throughout Westchester County, have a lack of access to translator for local and state testing. In particular, the Scarsdale School District has a difficult time acquiring translators for languages other than Mandarin and Spanish. Students who speak languages such as Urdu and French are not being fairly assessed due to the lack of assessment in their native language. In 2001, President George W. Bush passed the No Child Left Behind Act. It requires that all schools and all students be assessed annually in grades 3 through 8 to demonstrate annual yearly progress. This includes students who have been exempt from statewide assessments in the past, such as special needs and students with limited English proficiency. According to No Child Left Behind, states are required to test ELL students with assessments in the language and form most likely to yield accurate data on what such students know and can do in academic content areas until such students have achieved English language proficiency. The use of tests in a language other than English is permitted for a period of 3 years, but the No Child Left Behind Act allows local schools to extend the testing in the student's native language for an additional 2 years if the student's lack of English proficiency would drastically alter their statewide assessments.
According to New York State Department of bilingual education students and ELs should have access to New York State examinations in mathematics, social studies, and science in their native language. The grades 3 through 8 assessment in mathematics is available in Chinese, Haitian Creole, Korean, Russian, and Spanish. The grade 4 and 8 science and social studies assessments are available in Chinese, Haitian Creole, and Spanish. This clearly does not represent all English language learners in schools across New York State.
Testing accommodations for ELs vary from state to state. According to a study conducted in 1999, there were 40 states that had EL accommodation policies. 37 of those states were permitted accommodations. Accommodation for ELs are divided into 4 criteria to facilitate the inclusion of ELs in accommodated assessments. The 4 criteria include language-related accommodations, academic-related accommodations, time-related accommodations, and opinion-related accommodations. Language-related accommodations is our biggest focus for our proposal. Because districts, not states, are accountable for this resource, students are not receiving their appropriate accommodation. School and districts should provide accommodations to ELs to the best of their ability during the testing period. However, district needs to plan ahead of time to find appropriate translators. Additionally, it is highly recommended that districts keep a list of translators in case of absence of a translation.
What are the costs involved for the state in using assessments in the native language? Many people believe that using assessments in the native language is not cost effective. However, test translation is far less expensive than many believe. Researchers argue that those who believe assessments in the native language are expensive are those who are skeptical of non-English accommodations for other reasons. When a state produces assessments in the native languages of the students, states must also bear in mind the costs associated with printing, administering, and scoring the assessments in the native language. If a state makes the decision to provide written translations of its assessments, it is making a substantial investment in terms of time and money, as well as introducing a substantial change in its assessment system.
Additionally, if there are oral test administration instructions that must be read to the students, unless these have been audio recorded, they will need to be read by a test administrator who speaks the language in question. Only the read-aloud portions of the directions for administration need to be translated. This means also translating other documents students must use as they complete the tests, such as answer sheets or reference sheets, commonly used to provide formulas for mathematics tests. By providing these documents in the non-English languages, states can help ensure that all students are receiving the same test under the same conditions, thereby helping to ensure score comparability on the original and translated versions of the assessments. Test score reports and/or parent guides may be produced in non-English languages.
The resources needed to implement the advocacy strategy that we are coming up with are parent involvement, parent awareness, school and home communication, professional development for teachers on serving the EL population, a requirement that all general education teachers and special education teachers effectively assess all L students. In order to make our vision for our proposal a reality, we must focus on parental awareness and parental involvement, as well as educating general education teachers on how to effectively assess L students. We need to educate the parents of bilingual and L students through daily communication between teachers and parents and explaining student rights. Parents need to be aware of New York State bilingual education laws concerning state and local assessments. Parents and teachers are advocates for bilingual students. If both are unknowledgeable about the students' rights, how can they effectively advocate for them? It is up to us, the teachers, to encourage and educate families on their rights, as well as promote student growth and acknowledge their cultural diversity.
The expected results of our proposal are more access to translator for state and local assessments, as well as more languages to be offered on state and local assessments. It is pertinent for school districts to have funding as well as access for translators for their students in their native languages. Without translation in native languages such as Urdu, students will not be accurately assessed and their scores in the state exams will not be reliable. With these changes to testing accommodations, our L scholars will achieve college and career readiness by the time they graduate high school.